periodically we fly over, we take people on flights over the area, and I'll tell you, I have no words for what I'm seeing. Take one of the most fecund, beautiful ecosystems on the face of the earth, and simply turn it into moonscape. It defies my capacity to describe. And I've had an attorney for a Fortune 500 company, with a Walmart company, got out of an airplane. Walmart is the Fortune 500 right now. That was a joke, by the way. Since General Motors is gone. But he got out of the plane after spending about an hour and a half above here for getting out in Piper Cub. He said, you know, this is criminal. And he knows criminality. And the issue here is also compounded because as you lower the tops of mountains, the first 500 feet you eliminate one full category of wind potential. Wind is measured roughly from 1 to 7. So you eliminate, if this was a class 4 wind site, which is commercially exploitable, now you're down to class 3. The next 300 to 500 feet takes it down another category. And so for a few years of something called cheap coal, you eliminate in perpetuity the possibility of generating wind on those hills. And then there's talk about carbon sequestration, taking supercritical carbon and holding it below ground. And here's the problem with that. One is we don't know yet that it is even feasible to do it. That hasn't been tested in the States. There are a few small places where carbon has been injected underground, but not at this scale. Roughly, the volume of material put underground is roughly that of the amount of oil that flows through the U.S. economy every year. So you have to find lots of geologic reservoirs of the right sort, close enough to power plant or emission sites to do it. We don't know that you can hold carbon dioxide or carbon underground in perpetuity. If you can't, what's the point of doing it? We still don't know what the cost would be, although the estimates start at about a doubling of electric rates. And then relative efficiency and renewables. And remember the metric here is how much carbon you eliminate per dollar spent. And so the issue here, if you level the playing field and renewables and efficiency compete head-to-head with carbon sequestration, what would you get? And then there's the energy return on investment, which in this case is not going to be very good. God put coal underground for a reason. And he meant for it to stay there. If you want to know what I really think, I'll tell you later. What about nuclear power? Nuclear has gone through something of a renaissance. It is a terrifically expensive way to boil water. This is a Davis-Besse plant. They're called the Davis-Besse plant. It's about 50 miles from where I live on the shore of Lake Erie, southeast of Toledo, Ohio. This particular plant came very close to a core loss of coolant accident or a core meltdown in the year 2002. We discovered in court documents that came out of that whole case that it was probably not more than about 2 weeks away from a core meltdown. I'm in the outer evacuation zone from this particular plant. So nuclear power. It is the most subsidized energy source. If you're a free marketeer, you're not going to like nuclear power. And it's subsidized worldwide. The last U.S. energy bill gave it about $13.5 billion in new subsidies over and above what it already has. It is insured. If there is a loss of coolant accident, U.S. citizens pay for it. You would also be irradiated. You would not be, under the terms of the law, likely to recover your losses in Canada. Safety is still an issue. The safety record has gotten somewhat better, we are told, but all this is shrouded by secrecy, and no one really knows whether it has or hasn't. We do know that the list of near misses and accidents continues to go on. Weapons proliferation is still an issue. If you can make a reactor, you're real close to being able to make a bomb. The cost is about, in the States now, is about $7 billion per 1,000 megawatts. And again, the standard metric is how much carbon can you eliminate per dollar spent. So in our economy, how much could you eliminate for $7 billion by improving efficiency and renewables? The net energy issue, and the net energy issue isn't just that of the plant. The net energy calculation for the culture starts at mining, fuel enrichment, which is done in the States at public expense, the building the reactor, the operating the reactor, the eventual decommissioning of the reactor. We've shut down in the States 13 reactors. We have yet to decommission a single one. It is a long and very tedious, difficult, expensive, and iffy process. And then there's the transportation across the country to some final reservoir that we don't know where that's going to be. So there's decommissioning, there's waste storage, which is still unsolved, and then there's this little issue of civil liberties. If somebody in the States has spoken out against, say, solar power, I doubt the FBI has a file on them. But if they have spoken out about nuclear power, I'll almost assure you that there's a file somewhere on them. Nuclear is slow, uncompetitive, dangerous, low carbon dioxide removal per dollar spent, and undemocratic. What are the alternatives? Any questions on this slide? Hey, this is an important graphic. It comes from the McKinsey & Company, the big business consulting firm. And this is the break-even point here. So this is zero cost here, this horizontal line. Everything below that is a negative cost. Everything above it is a positive cost. So even up to this point, these are very competitive prices. And every one of these slices is a different technology or design tool. So these are things that are off the shelf. We already know how to do them. And so applying things like this is lighting and ballast and better engineering and variable speed motors and so forth. So everything down here roughly equals everything up here. The long story short, according to McKinsey was, and this report now is about a year and a half old, the short of this story, the point of it is to say that everything on color here means we can eliminate, in the States, about 30% of our carbon use and energy use at no net cost. And when they testified to us at the President's Climate Action Project, the author of the report, one of the authors of the report, said that if you change a couple of assumptions, you could have gotten to 40 or 50% elimination of energy at no net cost. Now, we just came through a presidential campaign, and there was very little mention of efficiency or demand-side management. There was a lot of talk about how do you generate more power, increasing the supply, whether it's nuclear or coal or whatever it might be. Efficiency, in other words, works. And we know this from all kinds of empirical studies. This is one. In California, we know, for example, these are two gaps. This is California energy use per household. This is U.S. energy use until very recently. This is California economic growth, the dotted red line. This is U.S. economic growth. So what the data force you to do is to reckon with two gaps. One is, why is it that California grew faster than the United States at large, but used less energy? And what California did was very simple. They decoupled sales of electricity and fuels from profitability. So their average rate per kilowatt hour went up, but consumption went down. They created a policy environment in which people had a clear choice. You know the rates are going to go up, why pay more? So instead of buying expensive devices to operate, whether refrigerators or lighting or heating, ventilation, air conditioning equipment, you tended to know long-term you had to buy things that were more efficient. And the result is California's economic growth has been stronger than that in the United States until the recent downturn. Now, let me get back down to ground level and then open the floor for some questions. What do we do? This is the Lewis Center on our campus, and back in 1995 we began to develop plans for a carbon-neutral building on our campus. This is the Adam Joseph Lewis Center. This is south, north, east, west. This is a photovoltaic array. This is the second array. These two arrays, even in a state that has about as many cloudy days as the city of Seattle, this is still the only solar-powered building on a U.S. college campus. It is a laboratory for those of us in the environmental studies program at the college for lots of different reasons. I won't get into that right now. But this is a wetland around the building. But this is a model of what is the U.S. Green Building Council platinum-rated system before the U.S. GBC had a rating system.